Now, some groups are outraged that the City of Johannesburg has been imposing fees on demonstrators. It says this is in line with the Municipal Systems Act. The city argues that protest action is an event which requires additional municipal services from the Johannesburg Metro Police. Two NPOs, the Right to Know campaign and the Gauteng Housing Crises Committee, are challenging this in the Johannesburg High Court and are represented by the Centre for Applied Legal Studies. So to discuss, we're joined by the Centre of Applied Legal Studies Senior Attorney Sithuthukile Mkhize. Mr. Mkhize, thank you for being with us. Is this issue still awaiting judgment?
Yes, it was heard about 2 weeks ago in the Johannesburg High Court, and we are still awaiting judgment. Judgment was reserved. We were asked to file further papers, but yeah, it's now, I guess, in the hands of the judge.
How did the courts receive your argument that there should be no payment to demonstrate, which is a right enshrined in our Constitution?
I guess so. Like any other matter, there are always two sides of the story. But I guess our position was clear in that there's no law that actually prescribes a fee to be paid for any service provided for a protest. The Regulation of Gatherings Act is the only law, in fact, that was enacted by the legislature to deal with issues related to protest, and there's no way in the law, in the act, where protesters are required to pay a fee. Yeah. So I guess the judge took that in with submissions made by the city, which was that they are paying for a service, or they are, I guess, allocating the fees or issuing the fees to pay for the services. However, I think what was clear is that it's not prescribed in the law, and secondly, the prescription of the fee is also irrational in that there's no way that the city can show that the fee does in fact go towards paying for the police officers, because the fees vary according to each protest and according to the number of people that will be involved in the protest. And so it was unable to show indeed that whatever fee they charge for whatever protest actually goes towards paying for the services of the policing services that are provided on the day.
You're basically saying this is illegal. Isn't the city talking about the Municipal Systems Act? Does that have any bearing?
So the Systems Act gives the city broad powers to levy whatever fee for whatever service it provides. So it would be services for water consumption, sanitation, provision of sanitation, etc., etc. So it uses that act to implement a policy which is passed by a mayoral committee, which allows them basically to levy fees for whatever purpose, whatever reason. It's a very broad power that they have, but I think our argument is clear in that there is nothing in the law that regulates protest that requires any municipality to levy a fee. And this is unique to the city of Johannesburg. We are yet to hear of any other city that actually imposes these fees.
Ms. Mkhize, finally, yes, I was surprised to hear this, and apparently demonstrators have been charged. So you say there's no way to tell where that money goes. What sort of fees have they been charged? And is this the current administration, previous administrations, who has been levying this fee? Because even if it does turn out to be legal, you say it's not. It's still a choice to impose fees on people protesting.
Sure. So they vary from what we know, at least from the people that we have been assisting, from 200 Rand up to 15,000 Rand. Apparently that the fee or the amount is determined by the number of protesters that will be there, because that determines how many police officers need to be deployed on the day. So it really does vary. And in terms of when, I think what they've said is that they have been doing this since, I think, 2013. But the policy is reviewed on an annual basis. So each and every year after the mayoral committee sits, they discuss, and if there's majority that's passed, the policy would then be passed if majority is in favor, obviously. And they do say that there is public consultation, which is done before the renewal, but we don't know of that. So yeah, that's their position since 2013, and it's on an annual basis. From what we know at the moment, yeah, so it's the 2022 policy that's in place, and it was approved.
All right, well, we'll follow the outcome of this. Thank you very much for your time. That was the Centre for Applied Legal Studies Senior Attorney Sithuthukile Mkhize.